There is one thing that I have always knocked the WWE for, and there's always one thing that I stand firm in, and that is my belief that the WWE still to this day has still some fundamental problems with pushing black wrestlers to the top and still carries some fundamental seeds of bigotry and more so racism in the way their company is operated. I've always felt that with the WWE going way back into the day. And even now in 2014, I still don't feel any differently. I don't know about you, but it bothers me a tremendous deal how every year on Martin Luther King Day on Raw, they do this phenomenal job of trying to champion Dr. King and his memory and his legacy and try to champion his message as if it's the WWE's message as well. That bothers me tremendously because I know it couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to the WWE, especially when it comes to their black performers. Here are the facts. In the 50-year history of that company, they have had two black world champions. That's Booker T and Mark Henry. And both of them, mind you, both of them won the World Heavyweight Championship, the second tier world title. The number of black performers that have ever won the WWF WWE Championship is 0. And that number still holds true to this day. Some of you will sit there and say, of course, well, what about The Rock? What about The Rock? Well, there's a reason The Rock got so over with the black fans back in the day. It was because it was the closest thing they were going to get. But even The Rock himself, first and foremost, identifies himself with his mom's ethnicity and his mom's heritage and calls himself Samoan, not black. And everybody knows this. So he doesn't even really count because in part The Rock doesn't count himself. In a day and age where you have a lot of the great football players in the NFL are black, most of the great players in basketball are black, in WWE today, it seems to be one of those rare sports or instances where it's still dominated by the white athlete, even when you go to like Major League Baseball. You could say, well, the percentage of American black players isn't that strong, but you have a huge Dominican contingent. So it's a very diverse game still. If you say hockey, hockey's an entirely different animal. But their track record on race is probably about the same as the WWE's, it seems like, especially when it comes to the black athlete. I don't get it. You're sitting here and championing Dr. King and his message, I have a dream that one day all people will be treated equally. And he talks about, to paraphrase, and talks about the fact that he hopes that someday people will be judged by the content of the character and not the color of their skin. But here's the WWE in 2014, in the most unrealistic way, in a sports world that is dominated by the black athlete, still can't have a black man as the face of their company, as the WWE champion. It's absolutely ridiculous and ludicrous, and there is no real justification. You look at Alberto Del Rio, who's been a multiple-time world champion, can't draw flies to horse shit, can't get a reaction at all. If he was black, or even if he was white, ironically enough, he probably wouldn't have gotten half the push that he's gotten. Somewhere along the way, Vince became very much about the Hispanic performer, which is great because there's a huge Hispanic demographic and fan base that you have to go after. But at some point in time, doesn't the WWE think and believe that they might want to have somebody for another large contingent of their fan base, the black fans? Don't you think they might want a guy to cheer for once in a while at the top? Don't you think it's okay that every once in a while they might have a world champion too? When you look at The Rock, did The Rock, being half black, half Samoan, did he hurt your ratings? If you're afraid of not appealing to the redneck fans, my God. Imagine you have an all-black champion. People would believe it. They'd be like, yes, finally, it happened. It would create an awesome moment. And then I look on Twitter, and Earl Hebner's sitting there telling me that Ron Simmons and Ahmed Johnson were once WWE champions, and I was wrong. No, dumb shit, you're wrong. Ron Simmons was a former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. When they brought him into WWE, the first thing they did is put a gladiator helmet on him. He was never WWE champion, WWF champion. Neither was Ahmed Johnson. IC champion was the closest he got. It is now 2014. I cannot believe that the WWE still to this day, in a sports world that is dominated by the black athlete, still expects us to believe that the sport is going to be dominated in professional wrestling by the white athlete. How 1950s and 1960s of this company, and fuck the WWE for prostituting out Dr. King's name and his legacy when doing absolutely nothing to show that they actually want to follow it and believe in his dream.